Hello, my name is Farah. In each of these videos I'm going to be offering you some tools and strategies to help with parenting. Now, it may be that you've developed a lot of your own methods which work well for you, and that's absolutely fine. Or it may be that you want to use some of these tools and strategies but maybe change them a little bit or fine-tune them, and that's fine too. But these things which I'm going to offer, they're very straightforward, and it's certainly not rocket science, but I do hope you find them helpful. Now, firstly, where do people actually go for advice on parenting? I mean, when children are born, it's not like they're born with these instruction booklets. It's not like when you buy a washing machine, you have an instruction booklet. I mean, even in those booklets, you have a section on problem solving, you know, what to do when something goes wrong. So where do people go? Now, some people may have friends and family who they can rely on and who they trust and who they can go to for advice, which is great if you do. But sometimes the problem with that is you do get conflicting advice. For example, some parents may say, well, I want to discipline my children without smacking them. Other parents may say, well, I got a smack, it didn't do me any harm. So it's really hard to know sometimes what to do. Sometimes you may ask a friend and they might turn around and say, well, I don't have that problem with my children. And you can start to feel a bit inadequate and think, well, what's the matter with me? Sometimes I think it's even hard to ask for help because you get worried that you might be seen as a bad parent or somebody who can't cope. So it's really hard to know where to go for help. So on that note, I really do hope you find these videos useful. And the first thing we're going to look at with the half-term holidays looming in the next week. Yes, kids have a week off school. How do we get through? What do we do to make sure we come out in one piece through the other side? Well, busy children are happy children. I remember when my children were younger, I felt most harassed by them when they had nothing to do. So with the half-term holidays coming up, nothing can be more helpful than a bit of planning. So you might want to sit down and think about activities that may keep them busy, maybe even plan something for each day. Now, I remember when my son was about 10, with summer holidays coming up, and I found them very, very difficult actually. I sat down and I planned loads and loads of things that he might like to do, and when it came down to it, he actually didn't want to do any of them. So the point I'm trying to make is, do ask your children, what do you want to do? Now, one tip that you may want to use is, I'll just show you this here. It's actually pouring with rain outside at the moment. There's a storm, so I hope it's not going to be like that next week. But what I've done is I've taken a piece of paper, I don't know whether you can see, I've divided it in two. Okay, my line's a bit wonky, but that's fine. It's the content that's important here. I've made a title there, indoor things and outdoor things. So you may want to list things that you can do indoors and outdoors with your children. When you're planning these, think about things where they can also play independently, and you'll probably find that when you've done the list, is a lot of the things that you've written down don't actually cost anything. Now, a few years back when my daughter was about 11, I said to her, what do you want to do at the weekend? And this is really funny actually. There was this big brand new Tesco that they had built nearby, and she said, Mummy, I just want to go there. And it's kind of funny because when you think of activities you want to do with your children, you think of something that might be really educational or really creative or really inspiring. But then I'm thinking, well, if that's what she wants to do, let's make that the event of the weekend. So that's what we did. We went to Tesco, and I said to her, you can choose 3 things. 2 of those things have to be healthy, and the other thing can be a goodie. And that was the highlight of the week. And those of you with older children, teenagers, who may be planning activities with their friends and going out in the holidays, it's really important that you always know who your children are with and where they are. Now, a good tip is to be familiar with your children's friends, link up with their parents, have their parents' mobile number on your phone, so if they've got any activities arranged and they're going out, you can, if you want to, give their friends' parents, one of their friends' parents, a call and say, all the children are going to such and such a place, I understand you're going to pick them up, is that correct? These kind of things you can use as like precautionary methods. Another thing to do is talk to your teenager about what I call risk factors. What are you going to do if something goes wrong? Make sure that their mobile phones are fully charged. Make sure they're able to text you. Say to them, while you're going on the train, what are you going to do if the train breaks down? Hopefully it wouldn't, but when you've talked them through these risk factors, then you know they'll be better prepared if something goes wrong, and they'll know what to do and they'll be safe. Do they have enough money on their Oyster card or enough money on for their train ticket, etc. Another thing that you may like to consider is you may also like to make one day of the week a family day. So on that day you can say to your children, we'll do something together as a family. It may be something at home, it may be going out, it's whatever you want to do. So these are just some of the tips. I hope you found them helpful, and you can join me again in the next video where I'll be offering some more advice.